It's really exciting to see
We have it until 2:30
people
and
who are
after that it's open.
passionate about this topic. Again, thank you so much for being here. My name is Catherine Duarte. I'm the HUD Programs Manager for the city's Housing and Community Vitality Department. Even though our name is on this presentation, this is very much a multi-departmental, multi-community partner project, and it's not over. The reason you're all here today is to help us, to give us feedback on where we are in the process, and we'll have a final product in a few weeks. So this is the second of public sessions. On Tuesday, we had a stakeholder meeting with business owners and other downtown and industry reps. We heard a lot of very useful feedback, and I expect to hear even more, just based on how full this room is, even more feedback, really valuable feedback that is crucial to this plan succeeding. So today, just wanted to welcome and remind everybody that this is not the product of just working on a few weeks. This has really been, over the last year of this mayoral administration, we've been listening. And we've been listening to folks in a number of different venues, media channels, and conversations. So again, this is not over. After today, you can keep up with where this project is going at this link here. Yeah, the conversation is not over. Today we're actually encouraging everybody to keep fiddling with their phones. At the end of the presentation, we're going to have a very short text poll, just 2 questions. We're going to ask you what goal is most important to you in this whole plan. We're just giving you the framework, 6 goals on how the city responds to homelessness, and to ask you if there's anything missing. Is there a tool, a strategy, did we get something get lost? And we absolutely use this feedback. We are going to try to really wrap up our presentation. We're trying to not talk a lot because there are a lot of you that have a lot to say, I imagine. So we will have some time at the end of the meeting for questions. And after the meeting, if you're like me and you need time to process, you can always email our department at this email address. We will be sharing all of our PowerPoint presentations. I just need to make sure they're fully accessible, all of these materials will be on the website. All of the results from the text poll will be on the website. We're going to be very transparent about all the feedback that we receive. Again, I cannot stress how much you all make a difference in this plan. Just since we started putting this together and sifting through all of the feedback that we've gotten, it's truly changed. The feedback that we've gotten from our partners has truly changed the plan and what we as a city are doing to address homelessness from a prevention, response, and communication standpoint. So just so you all know, just so the radar is activated when you're listening to the presentation. There are a number of things that are new to this plan that are not just the same old. There are a lot of things that we're doing differently than we did even a few months ago. You'll notice in these strategies an expansion of our hot team, an exploration to look into the feasibility, meaning cost, doing a cost analysis of putting in more restrooms in our public spaces. We have an availability, unprecedented availability from the rescue plan era, of funding to build non-congregate shelter for those folks who are, where there are gaps in our shelter system, and permanent parental housing for people experiencing homelessness. This is a direct result of Tuesday's conversation. We're looking into an expansion of our street cleaning services for our high pedestrian business districts. There is a strong piece here of a multi-sector coalition to advocate for legislative change regarding how we handle homelessness. There's also a need, since this is not just a jurisdictional issue, there's a need for regional collaboration. Homelessness does not just exist in one neighborhood or one city. It's mobile. People move around. It's an issue that affects our whole region and, frankly, nation. An expansion of WorkCOS. We're looking at the projects and programs that are really working and making a difference in people's lives, and this is one of the standout programs that we want to expand, replicate, promote, all those lovely things. So what you'll be hearing today, here's an agenda. We're just bare bones. I want to share with you how we've shared how we've created the plan and how the voices of the public and our partners have affected that. Really looking at the roles of what the city can do. This plan is very much dictated by the lanes that the city operates in and how it is meant to be how it's meant to complement the work that our community partners do, our private funders, our philanthropic community, the business community, and our nonprofits work. Local data, very basic data, just on population trends in our community, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Again, this is meant to be a sneak peek of the plan that's going to come out in September. Something you can expect in the plan in September is a much deeper dive into the subpopulation data, trend data on all the subpopulations that experience homelessness: veterans, youth, families, folks with chronic issues, housing data, things like that. And then we're going to present the plan contents of just goals, objectives, and strategies, not the full draft. Again, that will be available in September. The purpose of today and tonight's virtual meeting is to get people's reaction to this and feedback so that we can make final edits and release a plan that is truly community built. And again, hopefully time at the end for questions. This plan is a direct result of the mayor's newly unveiled strategic plan. The topic of homelessness is nestled into one of the 5 main goals of the city. It's under public safety. I know this is kind of small font, but if you look in our city's 5-year strategic plan, you'll notice that homelessness is objective number 2 under public safety. Support coordinated efforts of community partners to implement evidence-based practices that address public safety concerns around homelessness and behavioral health. So that's a big promise. That's what we hope this plan will deliver: evidence-based practices, lifting up what works and working with our whole community to accomplish that. Again, building the plan. This has been over a year of working with the community, starting last year when the mayor did his listening sessions, one in every council district and virtual. That effort, we heard from over 750 folks over 7 meetings. To no one's surprise, the top issue was housing and homelessness. We looked at the feedback that came from those community conversations and picked out some of the common themes, and they absolutely appear in this plan. After that, the mayor assembled a strategic plan development group with over 46 resident leaders. Their feedback created the mayor's strategic plan and the foundations of this plan. We are in constant contact with our homeless service providers, either as funders or as partners in programs. Last month, we did a similar sneak peek meeting with our service providers. We heard some very good feedback, and it took us a month to really get everyone's comments into that plan. Our homelessness prevention and response coordinator, Crystal Carr, over the last year has been working with with service providers, hospital staff, medical, behavioral health professionals, medical health professionals, to talk about medical acuity. Folks who are too sick to be in the shelter, not sick enough to be in the hospital. And that is a gap we've identified in our community, and they've come up with some plans that are, some recommendations that are in this plan. Our department, let's see, HCBD, Housing and Community Vitality, every year we do public meetings to help us determine how we spend our federal funds. Last year we had over 75 survey responses all about housing and homelessness. That's in the plan. A few months ago, the mayor held a telephone town hall on public safety. Once again, homelessness, top topic. Over 3,300 participants in that. And then our own city staff. We've discovered 12 departments and divisions have direct interface with folks experiencing homelessness and people who are impacted by homelessness. And this was the first time that we have gotten everyone together and really talked about how we work together. It's been incredibly impactful to have those conversations. And as a result of that, I'm really proud to have a few folks from those groups here, Lieutenant Brent Steckler, who you'll hear from, and Judge Hayden Kane from Municipal Court. So all of that, to get to this point, we've heard from over 4,300 people, including 65 more after Tuesday's meeting, and we're not done. So please, keep the feedback going, and I hope today is a respectful discussion. This is a really emotional, big problem, and we know that it's nuanced. It affects all of us in different ways. Some of us have lived experience with it, and it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of voices. There's no one way to attack this, and that's why I'm really pleased to present a plan that is far-reaching, from prevention to acute response to enforcement and cleanup. We'll talk about all that good stuff. So with that said, I have talked enough. Here's our lovely Acting Chief Housing Officer, Katie Sunderland.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys so much for coming. This is a great turnout, and we really appreciate you guys taking time to help shape the way this plan is moving forward. We are really excited to present this to you today, and also really excited to incorporate your feedback. Like Catherine said, we have responded to how the business owner community responded and incorporated their edits into this plan. The same will be done with this group today. So thank you for giving us your time and your brain power to make sure that we are responding effectively and appropriately. What I want to call out here is this is the ways that the city can respond to homelessness. These are each of our different departments and what they're able to do. So the funding arm of our city is our department, Housing and Community Vitality. We oversee the city's general fund allocation for homelessness response, as well as the federal funds that we receive from housing and urban development. So just to give you a scale of what that looks like, we have a line item within the general fund that's $500,000 that we use for shelter operations. This year, that award went to Springs Rescue Mission, Salvation Army, and The Place, who serves youth experiencing homelessness. Annually, we receive an allocation from the federal government to address the needs of low to moderate income residents, and many of those services that we provide support to address the needs of those experiencing homelessness. We have $250,000 for street outreach and shelter operations, as well as about $200,000 that we give to services. In addition to that, we receive funding for the construction of affordable housing. Some of that does serve those who are experiencing homelessness in very low income populations, all the way up to those making up to $80,000. So we can say maybe another $500,780,000 for housing construction. The second piece of how the city responds is our enforcement and protection agencies. What we're most familiar with is our police department. Our lieutenant for the teams that oversee homelessness response and homeless outreach team and the downtown area response team is Lieutenant Steckler, who is here. Our municipal court has a homeless outreach docket. Our judge that oversees the municipal court is also here, Judge Hayden Kane, who's behind me. Our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services Department has urban trail rangers who are patrolling our city's trails. Our fire department, and there's two separate ways that our fire department responds to homelessness. On the typical side, we have the fire and medical emergencies. They're conducting fire investigations, mitigating fire hazards, etc. And then our Pikes Peak Office of Emergency Management. This organization mobilizes our winter warming shelter in the cold weather months. We also operate as a cleaning agency. Our neighborhood services division enforces our city ordinances, and they clean up homeless camps. They are cleaning up throughout the city. They are responding to helping them through encampments and cleaning those up. We also have, our fire department has an incredible street outreach team. And the two programs that we will talk about today are our homeless outreach program, as well as our transitional assistance program. These teams are meeting people where they're at, on the trails and downtown in areas, and providing services, case management, and navigation. And those teams here as well, Steve Johnson and Amanda Smith and their team. And so we'll go from there. We provide employment. Our public works department hires people who are living in the shelter or in transitional housing to be part of a team called Work COS. They are providing maintenance to our city-owned mediums and properties. And from this program, we've seen people gain full employment through the city and through other organizations. So we are also contributing for the homeless population. And finally, we convene and inform. Like this group, thank you for convening with us. We have an incredible communication department that is actively telling stories of how the city is collaborating and working with our partners in this community to move our great city forward. We are just really thankful again for your time during this.
Okay, just for homelessness, when we define homelessness, it's incredibly specific. There are two agencies that really dictate how where our funding goes, who's considered homeless. The more wide-reaching definition is something called McKinney-Vento. It's a piece of legislation from 20 or 30 years ago dealing with homelessness of students, of minors, and their families. And the slightly more restrictive definition is through HUD, our main funder, our department's main funder, Housing and Urban Development. So either means that you are sleeping in a shelter or transitional housing, you're sleeping outside or in a place not meant for human habitation, you're actively fleeing domestic violence and seeking services, and then the expansive version under McKinney-Vento is you don't have a permanent address, but you're doubling up or you're couch surfing with somebody, and or you're living in a hotel or motel due to financial inability to lease or rent a permanent home. So when we talk about the homeless population, it is very specific to these counts. So going into that, Katie will talk about trend line over the last few years.
Yeah, so if we talk about the numbers, so when we're talking about what's called the point in time count, which is a count that is mandated by HUD, which is one of those definitions that Catherine just explained. This is our funding agency from Housing and Urban Development. What this is a snapshot of what homelessness looks like in our community. Now, this count is conducted one night in January with volunteers going out and surveying and counting people who are experiencing homelessness, both unsheltered, so out in the community, as well as sheltered in our sheltered housing facilities. And so the most recent count that we have is from 2023, which was 1,302. And then the yellow, this is the blue line, is the point in time, also called the good count. The yellow line here is the McKinney-Vento count, and McKinney-Vento is an act where services and legislation around students experiencing homelessness and providing assistance towards those. And so what this is a count of the number of students in El Paso County who are experiencing homelessness, and that number is 1,181 for 2020. So I'm going to introduce a couple of our teams, and Steve Johnson is not on this list because this was he was available, and I was very excited. So I'm just going to give them just a couple minutes to introduce themselves, what their response is. These three individuals covered a pretty broad swath of our response capabilities from the city's perspective of homelessness. So we'll then go first. And so Steve, why don't you start us off?
All right, let's see what I'm... Hello, Steve Johnson, Colorado Springs Fire Department, Canadian Public Health. Let me find out exactly what I'm doing here. My team, what we do. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we're affectionately known in the homeless community, I think, as the red shirts, because we've worn red shirts forever. The two teams specifically working with our homeless community is our homeless outreach program and our transition assistance program. So the homeless outreach program is out on the trail, on the streets, in the camps, at the shelters, and what we need to do is provide true intensive services as well as relationship building. So before you can help someone, you have to get to know them, they have to trust you, and you have to be able to trust them, right? That's any relationship. So they start with that piece. People say, why are you handing out water bottles? It's because sometimes water bottles and a snack is where a relationship starts. With the intent to get to know each other and then help them. The intensive navigation is wrapping around whatever that individual's needs are, very specifically. It is not one size fits all. So for those who are willing to work with us, we're able to help them through a lot of things, and it is getting them documents, getting them to mental health, getting them to physical health, getting them shelter, doing all the things they need to do to get themselves up to a level where they can start to care for themselves and eventually take full ownership of their lives. The transition assistance program is very similar. It started just with the jail population of individuals discharging who are high risk, meaning substance use, homelessness, and severe mental illness. And they're referred directly from the jail to our team, who then does the same thing, where they build relationship before they come out of the jail. They are starting to wrap around intensive services to help them move from the jail into, say, a sober living type of a situation, get the skills, and be able to go on and live their life fully in the way that they desire to. More recently, partnership with Judge Kane that's building and building even more around the homeless court itself, where we have somebody there during every court session, and soon will down at the jail for video as well. One of our people there to help start that resource process. We're saying, how can I help you? What needs can we get you connected to? And really start navigation right away with those who are willing to engage and get that help. So that's what we do within this homeless community.
Okay, Lieutenant Steckler.
Hi, I'm Brian Steckler. I oversee the homeless outreach team, which consists of 6 officers and a sergeant. They're tasked with enforcing illegal camping ordinances throughout the 200 square miles plus of the city of Colorado Springs. I also oversee the downtown area response team, or DART, as it's shortened to represent. Those downtown area response team officers are responsible for the 3 recognized commercial district areas within Colorado Springs, which are the downtown core, the South Nevada corridor, and Old Colorado City. And they provide policing and community services within those areas. As you've heard, 6 officers and a sergeant for the 200 square miles. How could we possibly keep up with that or even begin to do things? With the last couple of years, we established a cadre of patrol officers as well. We call them HOT, subject matter experts, or SMEs, in short. And they are patrol officers that have received 10 hours of training, again, in illegal camping ordinances and enforcement. And they are responsible for the smaller camps of 3 persons or smaller within their assigned patrol divisions. So, I hope. No, the Rangers are completely different department of Park and Recreation focus.
Good afternoon. My name is Hayden Kane. I'm presiding judge of Colorado Springs Municipal Court. Wow, I just don't get it doesn't happen. I have been presiding judge since 2014. A couple years after that, then Mayor Southers asked me to look into what the court could do as far as helping this particular population out. We've gone through several iterations of trial and error, but what we have landed on currently, as Steve mentioned, is our outreach efforts. And that is essentially the court, in its limited rule in this, has 2 touch points with this particular population. One of those is criminal arraignment. And when people are charged with a violation and they come to court, we then have assets out in the hallway of the courthouse. So literally, the program we've come up with it is not a mandatory thing. It is not ordered. It is just offering these services. We tried the ordered route, and that didn't work so well. And so now we're going with a voluntary hey, these assets are out here if you need any services, and we're seeing some success. The first year in 2022, when we started this, we had about 100, and these numbers are in my annual report if you want to look online for the exact numbers, but roughly 100, I think it's 112. So then the next year we had almost 300, so it tripled the amount of people that were coming to this table to get these types of services. And so as we look into 24, in the first half of the year, we've had almost 200 people come to this table, I think 194. So we're having some success as far as reaching and getting these people the services that they need. That is just one touch point, and that is when people come to court. Again, as Steve mentioned, we are expanding. We're hiring, and that's all happening, right? Yep. That now we're going to try to take this model that we have at the courthouse with these services, and we're going to take them to the other place, and that's where people that don't show up to court get picked up on a warrant and they're in jail. So we want to have those assets at the jail, again, as they get released, to have those assets available and get those services available to those folks.
Great. So we're going to get into the meat of the plan now. So what I'm going to go through is what you're going to see in the plan. So our homelessness prevention response coordinator, Crystal Carr, will walk you through each of the strategies, but to give you an orientation of what we're going to be going through. So what we have on the left here is what we're calling the homelessness continuum. So we're going to go through the strategies we have to prevent for those who are at risk of homelessness, and then we're going to go into what unsheltered homelessness and what the city's response is when those experiencing homelessness are unsheltered, and then what our response is for those who are sheltered, and then how we get people housed. And then throughout we talk about our regional collaboration and communication. So without further ado, I will bring Crystal Carr forward. She will walk you through the strategies that are associated with each of these main topics.
So for homeless prevention, our first objective is to expand capacity and leverage resources to help low and extremely low-income households remain housed and increase housing stability. To be successful in decreasing homelessness, making it rare, brief, and non-recurring in our community, we must work to prevent new individuals and families from entering homelessness, as well as provide assistance to exit homelessness. We are fortunate to have amazing community partners doing this work. They need us, the city, to help bolster their work and expand capacity. This usually means money. The city uses HUD dollars to support our local agencies. We are constantly working to develop, to recognize, and engage agencies doing good work and invite them to apply for funding. We will increase the number of letters of support to local agencies when they are applying for funds outside of the city. Our support demonstrates that these agencies are valuable community resources and that they have local support for the works that they are doing. The more funding we can get into our community and to the local agencies on the front line, the more successful everyone will be in making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. Additionally, we are looking for and applying for non-HUD grants to increase the amount of dollars coming into the Housing and Community Vitality Department to prevent homelessness. This is absolutely necessary as we identify gaps in household needs and work to grow and replicate these programs that are successful. Objective 1.2 is to increase education and services specific to seniors to help them remain housed. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, seniors aged 55 and older are the fastest growing population of people experiencing homelessness. This is not surprising when noting the rising cost of housing and that most seniors are living on fixed incomes. We will assist in bridging the gap between housing service providers and senior-specific providers to create solutions specifically aimed to keeping seniors safely housed. Objective 1.3, increase collaboration between mental health practitioners and local housing providers to help people experiencing mental health crisis stay housed or get rehoused quickly. We recognize the need to bridge the gap between mental health and housing services. We have heard from mental health providers that they are hearing more concerns about housing from their patients. Homeless service providers see the impacts of trauma on their clients every day. Bringing these groups together can help immensely to streamline access to services and provide the right resources at the right time. Objective 1.4, increase landlord participation and rental assistance programs to help housing voucher holders find housing. Our closing piece with prevention is to improve relationships between landlords and support agencies. There's great work being done through community health partnerships, Housing Navigation Group, and the Apartment Association. We will continue to work with them and highlight landlords that are working with tenants to keep them housed and successful. We also want to hear the concerns from landlords that they have and work to create solutions that are win-wins for our community. For enforcement and cleanup, Objective 2.1 is to enhance community safety through prevention, response, and engagement. Homelessness is devastating for the people experiencing it, and we recognize that homelessness, especially unsheltered homelessness, can have negative impacts on our environment, local businesses, and the public, both housed and unhoused. The longer amount of time people experience homelessness, the more significant the effects on their physical, mental, and behavioral health. Individuals with high medical, mental, and behavioral health needs are more likely to be unsheltered and have disruptive behaviors that negatively impact local businesses and public safety. Negative and harmful behaviors are likely to increase the longer a person experiences homelessness. Please remember, the existing enforcement strategies were developed by enforcement teams based on the realities of the budget constraints these teams face. All strategies within this document could also include identify additional resources to expand capabilities. Colorado Springs Department Homeless Outreach Team, you've already heard about them. We'll be growing them this next year. And we also want to assist business owners struggling with negative impacts of unsheltered homelessness. So we will provide a toolkit to business owners on how to assess and access resources available for trespassing, vandalism, waste, and cleanup. We will continue to collaborate with business associations to ensure that their business districts are safe for customers and staff. Everyone in our community deserves to feel safe and welcomed.
Yes.
Objective 2.2, continue to refine efficient cleanup response and property retrieval processes and ensure the environment is inviting and safe for all. Last year, the city added urban trails park rangers to assist with keeping city trails safe and clean. We are examining ways to give them more agency to post notification of pending camp cleanups. Public bathrooms are good for everyone in the community. We will be studying the cost and savings of creating safe bathrooms that everyone can use when they are out and about. If this is found to be effective and financially sustainable, we will create a strategy to increase the number of public restrooms. We also see value in educating groups and individuals wanting to help people experiencing homelessness by handing out goods such as food and blankets, but these items often end up as trash and waste. We want to create solutions to mitigate excess waste while still allowing them to provide care and compassion. Objective 2.3, monitor and inform on state legislative activities and how they impact how the city responds to homelessness. We know that there are times in which the community gets frustrated when police are not able to respond in the ways they expect them to. Often state legislative actions impede what officers are able to accomplish. We will work with other municipalities and the state to engage the state legislator and governor's office to improve enforcement. We'll convene internal and external stakeholders to identify opportunities for legislative reform to increase enforcement abilities and coordinate multi-jurisdictional conversations with elected officials to convey the increasing safety concerns. For street outreach and shelter, objective 3.1, find partners to operate a non-congregate shelter for underserved populations to reduce the number of people considered unsheltered or homeless. In 2023, the Housing and Community Vitality Department began meeting with agencies providing services to people experiencing homelessness, as well as medical and mental health providers to assess gaps in the system. Often it is difficult and sometimes impossible for our most vulnerable people to obtain shelter services. Our shelter providers are doing immense and important work. However, they are not equipped to also provide medical and mental health assistance for individuals and families that have significant needs. Our community needs a non-congregate shelter, which is a shelter that has individual rooms with private bathrooms, as well as appropriate medical and mental health services, so that our community's most vulnerable have a pathway out of homelessness. Additionally, there is a significant need for non-congregate family shelter, where families can have privacy and remain sheltered together. There are far more families calling for shelter than there are spaces to accommodate them. The highest risk factor for homelessness as an adult is having experienced it as a child. Our children deserve to have slept in a safe and consistent bed every night. Can you just imagine what a generation of children that went to school after sleeping well and with a full belly could be? The city received $1.1 million of home ARP funds to assist in the acquisition or development of a non-congregate shelter. We will also commit to providing up to 5 years of limited operational support using ESG emergency shelter funds. Objective 3.2, continue regional collaboration to refine emergency sheltering for extreme cold weather response. To protect the lives and limbs of unsheltered citizens, we will continue to assist the Pikes Peak Office of Regional Emergency Management to refine and improve our response plan for extreme cold weather, which necessitates opening temporary shelters to create additional capacity for those people who may not otherwise access shelter. Employment opportunities. Objective 4.1, explore opportunities to expand the WorkCOS program within the city and community. One of the city's best kept secrets is that WorkCOS program employs individuals who are residing at shelter or in transitional housing. They are hired through a temp agency and work 36 hours a week. Their supervisors brag all the time that the WorkCOS crew is some of the hardest workers that they have. The program began in 2019, and since then we have had 32 participants. 3 individuals became full-time city employees, one of which just bought his first home. 14 have become full-time temps with the city, 4 have moved to full-time positions outside of the city, and we currently have 7 active participants. We want to expand this program to other city departments and businesses in the community. The participants bring a variety of education and talent. They simply need opportunities that give career options that will sustain housing. Affordable housing and supportive services. Objective 5.1, support permanent supportive housing and very low income affordable housing development. Housing affordability is a top concern of many residents. Rental and home ownership costs have skyrocketed in the past several years, while salaries have not increased at the same rate. Housing and community development will continue to incentivize permanent supportive housing and affordable housing development through our fee rebate program. We are also partnering with the Pikes Peak Continuum of Care to create a report that shows the kind of units that are most needed to inform developers. We need to increase housing supply for low to moderate incomes in our community so that people experiencing homelessness have a pathway to housing that is sustainable. We will continue to create incentives, tools, and resources targeting very low-income households based on results of the upcoming housing needs assessment. We recognize that we need to find or create a sustainable resource stream to meet our Prop 123 goals to increase affordable housing in Colorado Springs. Regional collaboration and communication. Objective 6.1, enhance communication strategies to foster community engagement and transparency in addressing homelessness. To increase transparency and accountability, the city will improve how we communicate our response to homelessness by publishing an annual report to provide updates on the progress of our initiatives, as well as develop a dashboard on the city's webpage with data on homelessness in our community. We are committed to gathering community input to evaluate and improve how we are doing. Objective 6.2, promote the creation of a regional response. Homelessness is not only an issue in Colorado Springs. Housing affordability and homelessness are national, state, and regional issues. To be most effective, we need to have a regional response and work together. We are excited about developing a regional homelessness response team. We thank you for making time to come, to listen, and provide feedback on this work to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring.
Thank you, Crystal. Grab this. So, phone time. You can, if you're like me, I hate QR codes. I mean, they work, but if you don't, if you're at a weird angle and you can't access the poll with the QR code, just open up your text app and text C Duarte 410.
C-D-U-R-A-T-E. Sorry, whoops, I can't read.
410 to the number 22333. And we'll give you a little bit of time to answer. We just want to know, of the 6 goals, overarching goals that you heard today, we just want to get a feel for which one really hits home and is most important to everybody.
Sorry, okay, so if you need to text it, it's C-D-U-A-R-T-E 410. Right.
Yeah, you put this in the body, and then you text it to the number 22733, and then it should prompt you to make a. Oh, what? Sorry about that. I know why it's not working. Sorry. I had to activate it. Thank you for the very expressive Facebook.
So you're acting like these people are kind of put if you open it.
I love seeing it.
Pick which
Like watching the pony races.
So you guys we're not worried about you can't prevent.
We don't have to all.
Kind of, but it's different.
Yeah. I mean, prevention is important. Risk. That's not the wrong. It should never be a problem.
Well,
So the second question is open-ended. We'll leave it open for a little while after the meeting if you just want some time to capture your, we're not going to go through everybody's response here, but I'll keep the poll open for like an hour after the meeting, just so you can collect your thoughts and let us know. Just so you know, this tool, Poll Everywhere, it does not capture names and numbers. All I see on my end is a bunch of X's and then the last 2 digits of your phone number. It's not tied to anybody, but we will take all that out regardless and post all of the poll responses from all 3 meetings on our webpage. You can check it out next week. Will everybody give everybody some time to respond to that? See if you can see some. Thank you. Wow. This is my favorite answer.
And so, as we move forward, as you guys are providing feedback, I just want to give a couple, just to let you know that we do take your feedback seriously, and it will impact how we are shaping this plan and what we are doing, how the city is able to respond. So know that this is going to impact how we respond to homelessness. We will, you'll see.
We just lost the ability to enter.
Likely will change by the time it's published, and that's based on all of the feedback that we're getting. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Got 20 seconds to respond.
Please keep it activated.
Oh,
You have a question too?
sorry about this.
Thank you.
I won't touch that. I'll just tell you what the next slide was. The next slide was, well, everyone I want to give people time to answer the poll thoughtfully. We'll take those responses into account. But we have like 12 minutes left. And I just want to open the floor to folks. And we're going to, before I start picking on people, I count over 100 people. I didn't stop after, or I stopped after 100. I don't know how many people. So if I'm going to pick through people, we're going to reserve, unless you specifically ask for an answer, we're just going to let people talk. Please keep it brief, 30 seconds, and then start with
Just really quickly, I didn't hear drugs mentioned with people who
Yes,
are
thank you.
hooked on drugs. And 2, what toolkit are you going to provide to private residents like HOAs where they come in our hallway and defecate and do drugs in our
Thank you.
hallways?
Boo!
Those are my questions.
So I'm going to set a timer. As we go through this, I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds for each person so that we can go through. So when you hear that go off, just know that we'll be moving on to the next.
and we will be answering that. Sure, thank you. Yes.
So you're not going to answer that?
Native of Colorado Springs, and I want to just tell these people thank you for allowing us in this meeting, and I joined the homeless union, and we will work to help you guys come out with better ideas.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I am an active homeless person right now.
Well, thank you for being here. Yes, sir.
Yes, I just have 2 questions. For the landlord incentives, what kind do you have? That's my first question.
So,
And the next question is, have you guys looked at the cost of jail as pertaining to the program you didn't have success with, and the program that you do have success with? Have you looked at that?
Are you directing your question
I
to?
think he's talking about a program for folks coming out of jail.
Well, no, not just coming out of the jail, but those with cases or warrants on the street. You know, I mean, you can keep ticketing people that's homeless, you know, just wasting your paper. I'm just saying, you know, have you, looked at putting them in like a place, you were talking about 1 year you tried to force it, and then the next year you had it as a volunteer situation. Yeah, the judge. Yeah. In other words, I guess my question is the financial part. Did you take the money also from the courts to your program and put a magistrate in there? You know,
So I think the details of how that work would be that Judge Kane and I are cooperating together, the court's doing the court's work. We have grant funding to put those individuals in there as the navigators for the individuals coming out of court, and then they work voluntarily together. So I do that, the folks that we employ to do that work are done through grant funding. And as long as we have grant funding, we can continue to do that while we try to look at what are the numbers, how much can we save? But the whole goal, why Judge Kane came forward, the idea is what you're talking about, people just spin cycle, right? And how do we break the spin cycle? This is all part of that. Let's intervene, step in, and help them break out.
And then for your first question, our partner, Pikes Peak Continuum of Care, the CHP, they manage that. They have a program called the Flex Fund, and it helps, it's kind of no strings attached. It helps folks move easily into renting. We also had a landlord incentive program specifically for veterans that that is being administered by, I think, Rocky Mountain Services. We want to take programs like that that don't have the strings attached that our federal funds do, and we want to support that and be a champion for that and help them find other funding sources, because we know that they work. It's just something that, as a city, our funding sources can't support. But we see them and we recognize them and we want them. So, yes, back to Ty.
So, as a downtown business operator for over a decade, I thank you guys so much for your effort in coming out today. I'm not concerned with the people seeking help. I'm concerned with the people that are not seeking help. My staff is feeling unsafe. There is an element of danger in our downtown community, and I find it very unacceptable. And here's something I'd like to propose. Late night patrols. I know you're a very short staff, Lieutenant, and I appreciate everything your force does. We need more late night help, not just hanging out by the clubs, patrols.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Yep, amen to that.
Good lead-in. Normally, I was a street pastor. I had 6 months of training, and this is what we did. 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning, we were patrolling the streets to be a presence there. I could spend a lot of time adding this all. The most important thing I want to add to this is that the inclusion of faith-based communities, there are spiritual needs that people have. We're all made in the image of God, regardless of your belief system, whatever. There's a spiritual dimension there. I think we need to involve the faith-based communities in the system.
That's a great idea, but I don't think that's a constraint. We need to make sure that we include everybody, and their faith might be different than yours.
We did say that.
Okay, and I don't think that I've seen a lot of success with the faith-based, but I'm a part of Family Promise that works with families in homeless situations, but we do not proselytize. They are welcome to the church and they can believe like they want. I think that's important.
Hey there, so just echo what Ty said, thank you all for your support, for the resources. I like the intent and idea of the plan, but to the point, I'm a homeowner in Old Colorado City. It's the gap between those 1,300 plus people that are homeless, the 7 people that are training through the work COS program, and the 400 or so shelter beds that are that need mental health support, that need other support, that don't want the support, that are causing crime and trash and litter in the areas. Those are the issues that there's a major gap there that really needs to be addressed, and I think it's not about the 9 to 5 shifts, but what's going on outside of those hours. Let's have a 2nd and 3rd shift. We need that support. That's where the problems are arising.
Thank you.
I believe what it takes is a little bit of loving compassion. People get treated like trash and litter every day, all day, with no roof, no food, no clothes. biggest things it takes just a little bit of compassion and love. That's what breaks the spin cycle. It's just helping these people out. Our team works with the homeless all the time. Some of them get quite aggressive. But the moment that you show them a small amount of love and compassion, they calm down and they become a human. Again, that's all they want to be.
Can you share who you're with?
My name's Adam Alexander. I'm the director of Peer Connect in Colorado Springs. We do homeless outreach all day long.
Thank you so much for oh, sorry. Thank you.
Oh, I was going to say thank y'all for coming here and presenting. And I would also like to say the road to hell is paved by the path of good intentions. All of our systems are working against each other. How are we saying with love? Love is going to be the most important factor, period, hands down. But how we work in our systems, when we dig deeper into them, they are working against each other. I was on the pit crew this last 2003 January. It was so snowy, it was snow everywhere, and it was hard to find people. How we were using our information and how things are working together are working against each other. People can't get the services they need. If they need help, housing services, you have to have a certain level of income just to be able to get those type of services. It's like when you're homeless and you don't have the paperwork, someone helps you get the paperwork, and the police comes and destroys all your stuff, and you're stuck without the paperwork. They're just all working against each other. So thank you for your assistance and everything you're doing, but if you can look deeper into these systems that we're creating, because I think that's more meaningful, and creating that love in everything that we're doing.
Ma'am,
I have two things. One is there are people in relationships, in homes, where they're not safe. And so there needs to be something in the city that can put something on your website, which brings me to part two. As a senior, which we're the highest, there's more of us than any of you. And so, but these gadgets confuse us. So what I'd like to see in your city is, you know, you have the dummy books. You can have seniors highlights. Simple, simple, simple. It's too complicated, your website. A lot of these are just too complicated for us. And yet we're powerful and we do make a difference. So that's more
physical resources. Sorry. Back glasses.
Alright, cool. Yeah, so sentiment that I'm understanding here that I really appreciate is the focus on evidence-based practices. I also understand that a significant amount of money is going into growing the hot team. There's a bit of disagreement on the techniques used by the hot team, such as compensating belongings necessary for survival effectively decreases the frequency of illegal camping. What metrics, if any, will the hot team use to stay in line with evidence-based practices?
So the question, what
How about we
metrics will
do
the hot
this?
team use to
If you all want to find out about the homeless, come to our meeting at 3 o'clock.
Sir,
Justin Hill with Deer Connect. My question is, I was wondering, is there a link or some access form where we could collaborate all of our different organizations to help the homelessness in Colorado Springs?
So sorry, I'm breaking with the not answering, but the regional collaboration. Yes, stay tuned. The answer is yes.
What was the answer? That previous person.
So, Lieutenant, do you want to talk about metrics?
So when we go out, I mean, we're contacting folks and we have reasonable suspicion that there's illegal camping going on. We're looking at, you know, is there sleeping accommodations, are there multiple changes of clothes, food discarded, food cooking type things that supports that, because you're not allowed to camp in the city of Colorado Springs in non-designated areas. And you can't camp on people's private property without obtaining that permission. And so when we go out, we contact folks, we look at their history. The first contact that we do, we make sure that people are educated about the camping ordinance, because we recognize a lot of folks come in from other areas, they may not be familiar. So that first contact, nobody's cited. We educate them, we provide opportunity for outreach. We educate on resources within the community. That's the extent of that contact for a first contact. But every person we contact, we do check for that history. If somebody's already been contacted, we've notated the education component, or then we go into, citing for if there's a violation. The violations we frequently and most commonly cite, again, are people by waterways, which obviously represent a very dangerous situation. And it also has effect on the water flow itself and different things with debris and things like that. So those are focus areas. Parks, you can be in parks, but you can't camp in parks. So those are violations that we focus on. We focus on after hours within parks, because our parks close at 10 p.m. during the summer and 9 p.m. during the winter. So those are some frequent violations and situations cited. So we focus on where the violations are, and but every contact that our officers enter into, we provide that outreach, we provide opportunity. A lot of times we have community partners that are riding with the hot officers. We ask the folks, would you like to talk to one of these partners and have an opportunity to speak with them? One of the partnerships that I'm very excited about, and I think it hits on the first question the First Lady had regarding substance use disorder, is we're partnered with Serenity Recovery Connection, where they have recovery coaches. We just started this at the end of July, and they're riding with our hot officers. They're contacting folks out in the camps, in the community, and speaking with them about getting some recovery assistance, making themselves known, and providing that avenue if somebody wants to follow through and get that help for their recovery. And I'm happy to say, since we started this on July 31st, we've had 4 folks who've actually committed to seeking some assistance from Serenity Recovery Connection. And so, I think that's just the beginning of some really good, significant things that are to come in our community.
So it's past 2. We've got the room for half an hour. I want to respect everyone's time. If you were planning on staying here to 2, feel free to go. We are writing down everyone's questions, and we'll have some sort of answer in writing. We'll share on the website. But if you want to stay and keep talking, we'll get kicked out at 2:30. So I just want to make sure that people have the website information.
That's right.
I was looking for you. You could have seen
I got a camping ticket for my dogs.
I've been looking for you the whole time.
Has it failed? You said they're going to go?
Yeah.
And the reason is...
Oh, they're going, so I don't have to. I don't know. I actually thought that first one was because we know what's really going on. They seem to make everybody.
So that was my plan.